guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I am super excited because I'm going to be taking you along my kitchen and dining room makeover journey. It has taken me almost a year to tackle this project, but at last I have decided to do it and I'm super excited about it. Without further ado, let's get into it, and I'm going to start off by showing you the beginning point of my kitchen. So when I moved in almost a year ago, this is the site that I was greeted with. No stools, no decorations or anything. Very, very basic and plain. And now almost a year later, it's the exact same. The only thing I've added in has been this dining table, which is from my last apartment. And then swinging over to the other side, I added in this one random picture frame. So it is very basic right now, and I'm honestly super excited to make it over. So the first thing I want to address are the countertops. They're currently this dark type color and not 100% my cup of tea. They might be granite, I'm not sure. Either way, I have two different types of marble contact paper that I'm going to test out. Let's just give it a go and see which one looks better. So here are the two different types of contact paper that I'm testing out, and the one on the right actually looks a lot higher quality. It's just thicker and looks like it'll have better longevity. So that is the one that I'm gonna go with, even though the design on the left I kind of like a little bit better. The one on the right I think is just the better choice. So I ordered 5 rolls of this in a matte finish, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start installing it. Applying this contact paper was actually super easy. All I did was roll it out bit by bit, and I used a card to just press it into place and get rid of any of those air bubbles. Once I got to the edge of the counter, I just cut off any of the excess using some scissors and wrapped it around the bottom part to create a really crisp line. To cut around any fixtures like the sink, for example, I just put my card up against the edge to create a guide and then scored it using a box cutter. Okay, so I now have all of the marble contact paper on the actual counters here, and it looks so flipping good. So I'm super excited, but I'm also excited because I am going to be putting in a different backsplash. And so I just wanted to modernize this backsplash and also brighten up the space a little bit more. And I think that this stuff will do just the trick. So this is adhesive backsplash. Let's go ahead and attach this stuff onto the backsplash, and I'm so excited to see how it's gonna turn out. So I'm just going ahead and I'm removing any of the outlet covers that are there, just popping those right off. And then I'm taking my first piece of the backsplash and just cutting out the shapes that I need to fit around those outlet covers. And once I put that in place, it fits so perfectly. How satisfying. And just showing you a close-up of how you put them on. You remove the sticky backing and you put them in place, and they kind of interlock with one another. Now, I would have sworn that this would only take me a very short amount of time to apply, but it honestly took me like 4 hours to put in place. But once it was done, it looked so legit. Now, I will just say that for that inner corner piece, I was literally cutting individual tiles off, so I don't have that on video because it took me like probably 2 hours of the 4 hours. But honestly, it looks so good, and after I have all the pieces applied, I'm just reinstalling those outlet covers, and that's that. We have a new backsplash. So next up, we're going to target the lighting. And this is something where the current lighting is okay, it's just not my favorite, so I really just want to upgrade it a little bit. The first spot I'm going to upgrade the lighting situation is right over the dining table, or where the dining table will be. Currently it's a little bit farmhouse, and I want it to be boho and aesthetic and natural and very nice. So I am just starting by uninstalling the existing light fixture, and I'll save it so that I can reinstall it when I move out. And for the new light fixture, while I was at the thrift store several months ago, I got this lampshade. You might recognize what I'm doing here because I covered this in a thrift flip video. It was one of my favorite things I've ever flipped, and I'll link that down below for the exact details. But basically, I just stripped the existing lampshade off of the skeleton, and then I used fiber rush to cover it, weaving it over and under and over and under and all around, and basically just covering the whole structure to create a brand new lampshade. And I love how it turned out with the natural material. And then to install it, I just grabbed this light off of Amazon, and I'm just stringing it through that center of the lampshade. And now, since that's ready to go, we can move on to the lighting that's gonna go right above the kitchen island. And for that, I found this really pretty wine holder that's made out of cane webbing, and I found it from HomeSense, which is Home Goods in the US. And I think I figured out a way to turn this into pendant lights. So using some pliers and a hammer and, you know, some just brutal force here, I'm taking it apart
apart, and although it's just going to show that it took like 5 seconds to take apart, it actually took an hour. But once I had them all separated and good to go, I'm just taking some light fixtures that I purchased off of Amazon, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the piece that would be attached to the ceiling, and I'm just going to take off that little circular clamp, and using some very strong glue, I'm actually going to attach that to the pendant light. So it has this little cross piece. I'm just attaching it on, and boom, it's like instantly attached and super secure. I'm going to go ahead and just paint that piece black so it's going to match in the end. And then for the piece that's going to go on the ceiling, since this is renter friendly, I'm going to be using these wood rounds that I got online. And I'm also going to paint these black, so just using some black acrylic paint and a sponge brush. And then to actually connect this round piece, which is going to be the ceiling piece, to the pendant light fixture, I'm going to take the cord piece of the pendant light. I'm going to take it apart and just use that black cap piece that covers the part where the bulb would usually screw into. And I'm basically just going to glue that onto the round pieces that we had just painted. Once those are attached, I'm just cutting the wire to my desired length, and I'm putting the end of the cord into that little cap piece and screwing that in place. And then for the light, we're going to be using these battery operated light bulbs that actually look like light bulbs, so they're not puck lights. They work by a remote, which is super handy. So I'm just removing the sticky backing and placing that on the cross piece. And then for some extra kind of security here, I'm just gonna hot glue it in place so it's super stuck and secure. And then finally, to attach these to the ceiling, I'm just using several command strips, like so many command strips, and I'm just sticking them in place. And you wanna make sure that the ceiling has been washed and is free of dirt and grease and all that stuff before you stick those in place to make sure that they stay. And here you can see the lights working perfectly.
Hey, so did you notice that I have a kitchen island, and obviously I need some seating to go in that kitchen island, and I was initially gonna just buy some stools online that match my place, but I couldn't really find anything that was that affordable. And then I was at the thrift store and I found these two puppies, and guess what? They were only $4.99 each. $4.99. So when I saw it, I thought I could either sell it and make a little bit of money, which I initially was going to do, or I can try and just reupholster them, change the color of the wood somehow. Like, that was my second option, and I decided to go that route, in case you haven't guessed.
So the first thing I'm doing is just removing all of those staples that are holding the seat cover cushion in place, and I'm basically using some pliers to just pull them out. Once all of those staples are removed, I'm just pulling the covering off, and I can see that I'm left with some foam that's still in pretty good condition, so that's good. We're going to be able to work with that. But first, I'm going to remove that foam off of the top of the chair and get to sanding off that color. So I'm just using some pretty coarse grit sandpaper to remove the stain that's currently there, and as you can see, it totally lightened the wood so much. And once it's all done sanding, you can see the new color that's there all over. It's so nice, it's so light, and it looks great. Now, to add a little bit of warmth to the wood, I'm just going to be using this Minwax wood finish in the color Golden Pecan. So I'm just going ahead and opening that up and then giving it a nice stir and adding that onto the legs of the stool. Once the stain's all on there, you can see it has this really beautiful color. And next up, I'm going to be fixing the top of the stool, which, as I mentioned before, sinks in a little bit. And for that, I just got some plywood cut to the exact size of the top of the stool. I also have some wood glue as well as some clamps. So I'm just adding a generous amount of wood glue on either side of the stool and placing the plywood on top. And then I'm just reinforcing it with those wood clamps while it dries. And then once it's all dried, I'm just removing the clamps and putting that foam back on top. And now we can head on over to the thrift store to see if we can find some sort of fabric to cover the top of the stool. And while I was in the curtain section of Value Village, I found this really nice window curtain that I thought was beautiful because it was textured in this nice ivory color. So I took it on home and gave it a wash. And then I just placed the stool on top of the fabric, cut it to size, and started stapling it in place. I made sure to pull the fabric pretty taut as I was stapling it. And as you can see, I've actually learned something through this process, and it is to stack something underneath the staple gun as I've done with a bunch of the pieces of wood, and that makes stapling so much easier. And once all of that stapling was done, I have two brand new chairs that look so pretty and match my space perfectly.
Okay, so now that we've transformed some of the main aspects of the kitchen area, we are now going to shift gears a little bit to the dining room space. And there is this one wall in particular that's right across from the dining table that is so gray and so boring, and I do not like it at all. However, I have an idea for transforming it into an accent wall, an arch accent wall to be specific, and let's transform this boring gray wall into the rental arch accent wall of my dreams.
So I actually covered this in detail in one of my other videos that I will link down below, but basically I started off by painting that gray wall white and then applying some wallpaper in a rental friendly way. It's going to be fully removable. I then went ahead and painted that wallpaper a nice orange color that I think is just going to complement the whole space really well. And how satisfying, you guys, are those crisp lines of the edge of the arch. And then once that was done, I wanted to build a shelf there, so I cut a piece of wood and attached these nice black wall brackets to it, and then just screw those into the wall. And then the final piece for this area was to upcycle an IKEA Ivar cabinet, and so I just basically put it together, and then I covered the cabinet fronts with raffia cloth, cut them to size, stapled them into place, and they looked so great. I loved it so much. And as I mentioned, you guys, I cover this in so much more detail in another video, and so check that out if you're interested.
Hey you guys, so I just wanted to take a quick second to say that if you're enjoying this video, it would mean so much to me if you go ahead and subscribe to me on this YouTube channel. I make videos on DIY decor and room makeovers, and I think that if you're enjoying this video, you'll probably enjoy my other videos too. And also, I wanted to say that if you like me and you enjoy watching my content, then it would mean a lot to me also if you go ahead and check me out over on Instagram. I'm at DIY Dalia with an underscore at the end, and I share all sorts of behind the scenes and sneak peeks over there as well. So let's get back to my kitchen makeover.
So I'm just clearing off my old kitchen table and removing it, as well as the chairs, before we get started with making over my new dining table. And this is another instance where I have a video. It's a very recent video that I've just released showing the details of how I transform this. But basically I painted the secondhand table white, and then I went ahead and used paint to make a nice marble design. After that, I made it look like legit marble by pouring epoxy resin on top. And then for the base of the table, I added some nice natural texture by gluing on pieces of the half round trim that I got at a lumber yard, and the end result looked so legit. I'm so happy with how this table turned out, and I once again will have this video linked down below for you. But now with the table all done, I am now going to move right along to the back wall where the dining table is.
You know how hard it is to keep painter's tape attached to popcorn ceiling? So hard, it just falls down right away. But you know what, we're just making do here, okay? We're just making do. Okay, so all the walls have dried and look so nice, so much brighter in this white color, so I'm loving it so much. And I think the next thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is add something onto this wall, which is the main back wall right behind the dining table. And I wanted to add a little bit of depth, texture, and dimension to this wall by doing my renter-friendly wall paneling / wainscoting / board and batten, depending on what you want to call it, because there's a bunch of different names out there. But I actually did this in my last apartment and I loved it so much, so I thought I might as well do it here as well. We're gonna go ahead and get started with just adding it right onto the wall.
So I'm starting off with MDF pieces that are cut to size to be the full vertical length of my wall, as well as the horizontal width of each section of the squares that we're going to be creating. After that, I went and picked up a bunch of command strips, and by a bunch I mean a lot of them, and I basically just applied them onto each of the MDF boards. For the small pieces, I just used 2 of the small command strips, and then for the long vertical pieces, I used 4 command strips. And honestly, this is so simple, you guys. I just basically took off the backs of the command strips and put each of the pieces of MDF boards into place. I used a level to make sure that everything was square and level and straight. And just like that, I have my perfect wall paneling that I think is so stunning. It's one of my favorite things about this space. And now that we have the back wall done, we can officially move on to decorating the whole space with the final touches. On my arch accent wall shelf, I'm just adding this thrifted basket as well as this faux vine plant. I'm also adding this ivory vase, and in it, I'm placing some dried grasses that I picked from a field. Next to that, I'm adding this dollar store wooden rainbow that I created in a previous video, and I'm also adding a couple brass candles. I'm stacking a couple books for height, and then I'm placing this really cute thrifted bowl. On the raffia cabinet, I'm adding this donut vase, which was from H&M Home, and adding some pampas grass as well as some bunny tail. On the other side of that, I'm adding some books, a little vase, some more bunny tail, and a little faux plant from the dollar store. Next to that whole cabinet situation, I added this huge glass vase on the floor, and I placed some really fluffy pampas grass inside of it. On this one little wall by my dining table, I'm going to add in this art print that I made, and I actually have another art piece that I made, except this one was with silicone. I made it in a recent video as well, and I'm going to use that to cover the electrical panel. And then moving on to my kitchen island, I got this really beautiful rattan tray off of Amazon, and then I wanted a nice textured vase to go on top, so I just grabbed this dollar store vase and hot glued on a piece of raffia cloth. This is such an easy hack, and this one actually matches the cabinet perfectly, so I just went ahead and filled that with some dried florals and placed that right on top of the rattan tray. And then to complement that, I'm adding this thrifted milk jug, which is so cute, and I'm also adding this really pretty amber candle that I got from Walmart. Now over on my kitchen counter, I wanted to add a little coffee and tea station, so I'm using this bamboo tray that I got from the dollar store. And then I grabbed some of these dollar store bamboo and glass containers that I'm going to pour my sugar into, as well as my tea bags. On the other side of the sink, I'm adding in this cute little letterboard that says Happy Days, as well as a little bud vase from the Dollar Tree and some dried flowers that I got from Michael's. On the walls by the fridge, I'm just adding in this thrifted little basket with some faux greens, as well as this really pretty print that I made in my bathroom decorating video. Now right below that, I'm adding this faux plant that I put in a cute basket. I'm also just pushing in my brand new stools, which I love so much. And the final thing I'm adding in is this really cheap rug from IKEA. I think it was under $5. And just like that, you guys, my kitchen makeover is complete. I cannot believe how far I came here, and I hope that you like it.
I just love how my kitchen came together in the end, and I really just hope that this video gave you a little bit of inspiration. That's always my goal here. If you enjoyed this video, it would really mean a lot to me if you hit the subscribe button, because that really helps my channel to grow, and even something as little as hitting the like button also does help as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!